The young man collided with Al Pacino and kept walking. Pacino went after him. What he did next stopped everyone on the street. It was a Tuesday afternoon in Manhattan, West 44th Street, the kind of autumn day where the sun cuts through the buildings at sharp angles and the air smells like coffee and exhaust. Al Pacino was walking alone. No entourage, no security. Just him, a worn leather jacket, and a newspaper tucked under his arm. He preferred walking, always had. Something about being in the city, anonymous in a crowd, reminded him why he loved this place. The street was busy, lunch rush ending, people returning to offices, tourists taking photos, delivery guys on bikes weaving through pedestrians. Pacino moved at his own pace, not fast, not slow, deliberate. That's when it happened. And what happened next would be on every phone in Manhattan by sunset. A young man, mid-20s, expensive sneakers, AirPods in, eyes glued to his phone, came around the corner fast, too fast. He slammed into Pacino's shoulder. The impact was solid, real. Pacino stumbled sideways, caught himself on a parking meter. His newspaper fell to the sidewalk. The young man didn't stop, didn't even look up, just kept walking, thumb scrolling, completely absorbed in whatever was on his screen. Pacino straightened up, rubbed his shoulder. It hurt. Not badly, but enough to register. He looked at the young man's back, now 20 feet away and moving. A woman nearby had seen it. "Are you okay?" she asked, so Pacino nodded. "I'm fine." But he wasn't moving. He was watching the young man disappear into the crowd. Something in him made a decision. Nobody on that street knew what was about to happen, but in 60 seconds, they'd all be witnessing it. He started walking, following. The young man was still on his phone, oblivious, headphones in, lost in his digital world. Pacino caught up in about 30 seconds. The young man had stopped at a crosswalk, waiting for the light. Pacino stepped up beside him, close enough to be in his peripheral vision. "Hey!" The young man didn't hear or didn't register. "Hey!" Louder this time. The young man pulled out one AirPod, annoyed at the interruption. "What?" "You walked into me back there." The young man looked confused, like he was being asked to remember something from last year. "What?" "You bumped into me, about half a block back." Recognition flickered, or maybe it didn't. Hard to tell. "Oh, okay." That was it. No apology, no acknowledgement. Just, okay. He started to put his AirPod back in. "Wait." The young man sighed, full irritation now. "Dude, what?" "I said okay." "You didn't say sorry." "Seriously?" The young man looked around as if appealing to an invisible jury. "It's New York. People bump into each other. Get over it." "But you didn't just bump into me. You hit me hard enough that I almost fell." "I said okay." "What do you want? A written apology?" The light changed. The young man started to walk. But what he didn't know was that his day was about to change completely. Pacino's hand shot out, fast, caught the strap of the young man's backpack, and pulled, hard. The backpack slid off the young man's shoulder. Pacino yanked it free and dropped it. The bag hit the sidewalk with a heavy thud. The zipper, already partially open, gave way. Contents spilled out. Laptop, notebooks, pens. A water bottle that rolled into the gutter. The young man spun around. "What the fuck?" People stopped. A circle formed instantly. New Yorkers love drama, but they keep their distance. What happened in the next 90 seconds would go viral. But that wasn't the shocking part. "What did you just do?" The young man's face was red, shock and rage competing for control. Pacino stood there, calm, hands at his sides. "I bumped into your bag. It fell. These things happen. You can't..." The young man was sputtering. "Do you know how much that laptop costs? Do you know that when you walk into someone, you're supposed to acknowledge it? I didn't walk into you. I barely touched... You knocked me into a parking meter." "That's not..." The young man stopped, looked at Pacino more closely. Something clicked. "Wait, are you... It doesn't matter who I am." "Holy shit, you're Al Pacino." The crowd murmured. Phones came out. People started recording. What those cameras captured wasn't what anyone expected. "Does that change anything?" Pacino asked quietly. "Does it matter whether I'm famous or not? You walked into me. You hurt me. And you didn't care." The young man's anger was shifting, confusion taking over. I didn't mean to. I know you didn't mean to, but that's the problem. You didn't even notice. You were so inside your phone that you collided with another human being and kept walking like I was a piece of furniture. The young man bent down, started gathering his things. Look, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. Can I just... He reached for Pacino, to push past him, to create space. His hand contacted Pacino's chest. A shove. Not hard, but dismissive. That was a mistake. Everyone watching knew it. Pacino didn't move, didn't step back. He stood there looking at the young man's hand on his chest. Did you just put your hands on me? The young man realized his mistake, pulled his hand back. I was just trying to... You've now bumped into me twice. The first time you didn't notice. The second time was deliberate. I wasn't trying to hurt you. Hurt isn't just physical. Pacino's voice was quiet, but it carried. Everyone on that sidewalk could hear him. You've been hurting people all day. Everyone you didn't notice. Everyone you dismissed. Everyone who had to get out of your way because you were too important to look up. The young man's face was changing, the anger draining out, something else taking its place. Shame? Recognition? Hard to tell. But what happened next shocked everyone filming. I didn't mean... He looked down at his scattered belongings, at the crowd watching, at Pacino standing there like a statue. I'm an asshole. You're not an asshole. Pacino's voice was softer now. You're distracted. There's a difference. The young man looked up, met Pacino's eyes for the first time. But distraction becomes habit. Habit becomes character. And character becomes who you are. Silence on the sidewalk. Even the traffic noise seemed distant. I'm sorry, the young man said. And this time he meant it. I'm really sorry. I bumped into you and I should have stopped. I should have made sure you were okay. Pacino nodded. Thank you. Then he did something nobody expected. Not the crowd, not the cameras, not the young man. He bent down, started picking up the young man's things. Laptop, notebooks. Handed them over one by one. The young man took them, stunned. You don't have to. I know. Pacino picked up the last item. A portable charger. But I want to. He stood up, looked at the young man. You know what the problem is with phones? With being connected all the time? The young man shook his head. It makes you forget that there are actual people in the world. Real bodies. Real pain. Real consequences. He gestured to the crowd still watching. Everyone here is recording this. By tonight, it'll be online. People will share it, comment on it, make memes about it. The young man looked sick. Oh, God. But here's what I want you to remember. Not the embarrassment, not the viral moment. This, Pacino pointed at the space between them. The feeling of realizing you hurt someone. The feeling of actually saying sorry and meaning it. That's what matters. The young man nodded. I'll remember. Good. Pacino started to turn away, then stopped. One more thing. Yeah. Pay attention, not just to your phone, to everything. The world is happening right in front of you. Don't miss it. And he walked away. The crowd didn't applaud, didn't react. They just slowly dispersed, returning to their own lives, their own phones, their own distractions. The young man stood there for another minute, holding his backpack, looking at the space where Pacino had been. Then he put his phone in his pocket, took out his AirPods, and started walking. Really walking, looking around, noticing people, making space, moving with awareness instead of against the world. A week later, the video was everywhere. 3 million views in 24 hours. Thousands of comments, news articles, think pieces. But what people didn't see in the video changed everything. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, millions of views. Al Pacino confronts rude Gen Z on street. Pacino teaches kid a lesson about respect. Michael Corleone, energy in real life. But the comments were mixed. Some people thought Pacino was right, that the young man needed to learn respect. Others thought it was an overreaction, that throwing someone's backpack on the ground was aggressive, disproportionate. A few pointed out that Pacino had put his hands on the young man's property first. The debate raged for days, but none of them knew what happened next, and it wasn't in any video. The young man, his name was Tyler, reached out to Pacino through his agent, asked if they could talk, apologized again. What he wrote in that message did something unexpected. It made Al Pacino smile. "You changed something in me," Tyler wrote. "I don't know if you meant to, but you did." He explained that the video had been mortifying but also transformative. He deleted social media apps from his phone, started walking without headphones, began noticing how many times a day he almost bumped into people because he wasn't paying attention. Pacino read the message, and he did something he rarely did. He wrote back a single sentence. "Awareness is the first step to becoming who you want to be." 3 months later, something happened that nobody could have predicted. Tyler was volunteering at a community center in Queens, teaching elderly residents how to use smartphones, helping them stay connected with family. The irony wasn't lost on him. The thing that had disconnected him from the world was now helping others connect. But he did it mindfully, teaching people to use technology without letting it use them. And every time he walked through the city, he thought about that moment on 44th Street, the backpack on the ground, the shame, the lesson. He thought about Al Pacino standing there, not angry, not vindictive, just present, forcing him to be present too. That's what violence is, Tyler realized. Not just physical harm, but disconnection, moving through the world like other people don't exist, like their pain doesn't matter. And that's what respect is. Paying attention, noticing, caring enough to stop when you've hurt someone. He never bumped into anyone again, not once, because now he was looking. But the story didn't end there. 6 months after the viral video, Tyler was walking through Manhattan. Same street, 44th, almost the exact spot where it happened. And he saw him. Al Pacino, walking alone, newspaper under his arm, same worn leather jacket. Tyler's heart started pounding. He stopped, watched Pacino approach. Should he say something? Would Pacino remember him? Would it be awkward? Pacino was 10 feet away. 8. 6. Their eyes met. Pacino stopped, looked at him for a long moment, then smiled. A real smile. Not for cameras, not for show, just recognition. "You're looking where you're going," Pacino said quietly. Tyler laughed, a surprised, genuine laugh. "Yeah, I am now." "Good," Pacino nodded, started to walk past. "Mr. Pacino?" Tyler's voice stopped him. "Yeah?" "Thank you for that day, for not just letting it go." Pacino looked at him, really looked at him, saw something different than 6 months ago, something present, aware. "You did the work," Pacino said. "I just gave you a reason to start." And he walked away. But Tyler noticed something. Pacino had his phone in his hand. He'd been looking at it when Tyler first spotted him. But the moment Pacino saw another person ahead, a woman with a stroller, he put the phone away, stepped to the side, made space, smiled at her as she passed, leading by example, even when no one was watching. That's the difference between a lesson and a lecture. A lesson is lived. A lecture is spoken. Pacino had given him both that day on 44th Street. The physical confrontation, the dropped backpack, the public embarrassment, but also the kindness afterward, the picking up of the scattered belongings, the explanation instead of just anger, pain and compassion, consequence and grace. That's what changed Tyler, not just one or the other, but both. The question isn't whether you'll get distracted and bump into someone. You will. We all do. The question is, when it happens, will you stop? Will you notice? Will you care enough to acknowledge that another person exists and that your actions affected them? Because that's all it takes. Not grand gestures, not viral moments, just attention, just presence, just the simple act of seeing another human being and treating them like they matter. That's respect, and it starts with looking up.